This feels so weird. Snowpiercer is directed by Bong Joon-ho, who co-wrote the film with Kelly Masterson. It stars Chris Evans, Song Kang-ho, Tilda Swinton, John Hurt, and Ed Harris. And it is set in a post-apocalyptic future, where after a catastrophic global event, the Earth's remaining population has boarded the Snowpiercer, a circumnavigational train that travels around the world non-stop. The train's cars are segregated into social classes, with the lower class being at the very end of the train, and the wealthy or the privileged being at the very front of the train. And a revolt is being planned by the lower class to take control of the front of the train. After I saw Parasite, I became a huge Bong Joon-ho fan, and I instantly wanted to see every film he's ever done. Snowpiercer was the one most readily available to me. This film was wonderful. It was great to watch, and I really, really enjoyed it. Most of it. There are some issues I had in this, and if you haven't seen Snowpiercer, I am going to talk about spoilers, so fair warning. The story was pretty unique. When I first heard about the premise of this, I was like, okay, well, I don't really know how that's going to work, but okay, sure, we'll see. I mean, it does for the most part, but there are some things in there that you really have to suspend your disbelief, and you just kind of have to take it at face value. But the film doesn't really pick up or start to move until about a third of the way in. The first act is very, very slow. It sets up the basic ideas that the train is segregated into classes, and the lower class lives at the end, and they resent the front half because they have everything and they have nothing, and you know that a revolt is going to happen. And even when the revolt begins, it's still pretty formulaic. They're surviving by their wills, they're stronger together, etc. The first act is very, very slow to me. It wasn't until they get to the car with all the men with axes that I really became invested in this movie. I did like seeing all the different cars and how each section was handled, like the car for fish, the aquarium, which if I were on that train, that'd probably be the car I'd be spending most of my time in. But there's a car for school, a car for growing crops, and etc. There's even an opium den car. And you're like, wow, these people really thought of everything, didn't they? But the production design, I mean, it just looks great. I love seeing the train and all the different cars and compartments that they had come up with. And I especially love the costume design. It felt real. There was a sense of reality to this. That this is what people in the future, stuck on a train, segregated by social classes, would wear. It's also very impressive to look at and to know that this was all done on a soundstage. There are no locations in the entire movie. My only issue with the look of the film is that the CGI does seem a little bit dated, even by 2013 standards. And there isn't a lot in there, but there's enough to make you notice it. The train is run by Wilford, played by Ed Harris, who lives at the front of the train, in the engine pretty much. And when you see where he lives, it's kind of lackluster. When Chris Evans' character finally gets to the front of the train, it was kind of underwhelming. You figure it'd be something more dignified and extravagant. Instead, it was really just a table and 2 chairs. So yeah, it was a little underwhelming, in my opinion. And speaking of Chris Evans, Jesus, what an amazing performance. Probably my favorite performance he's ever done outside of the MCU. And it was so nice seeing him break away from that heroic stereotype we're all so used to seeing. I really hope that now, since he's done with Captain America, that he branches out and does more movies like this. I mean, he was just fucking fantastic in this. His character plays the leader of the revolution, and at first he doesn't really want to be the leader, but after a while he's kind of thrown into that role. He has a kind of father-son relationship with John Hurt, who I think helped build the train. Did he help build the train? I'm pretty sure he helped build the train. But when you learn about their backstory and what they mean to each other and why he kind of looks up to him, it's definitely a, oh fuck, moment. There's a scene towards the end where he's talking about when he first arrived on the train and what the lower class had to do to survive. And he's talking about all the things that they pretty much had to revert to. And I don't want to go into spoilers, but it's cannibalism. But his speech is just so emotional and captivating and gut-wrenching, and it just tears apart your insides. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but it was so amazing to watch. I mean, he was just great. I don't know what else to say. All the supporting actors were pretty good in this, too. Jamie Bell, he plays Chris Evans' second in command during the Revolution. And for someone who's not a Jamie Bell fan, he was fucking good in this. I mean, throughout most of this, I was a Jamie Bell fan. Octavia Spencer is in this, and she's great, as always. There were some actors in there that I felt didn't really bring their A-game, though. Ewan Bremer from Trainspotting has a small role in this, and his character and acting was just really off to me. There were these times throughout the movie where he would have a different emotion than what the scene was calling for. When the scene was chaos and anarchy, he would be weirdly calm. But when the scene was calm and kind of more relaxing, he would lash out and freak out. So his back and forth, just kind of like emotional unbalance, was really unsettling to watch. I really didn't care for his character, really. Tilda Swinton was fucking epic in this, though. I've never seen a performance like this from her. She was scary and funny and sleazy, and not like that. But she played this very political. You didn't know if you could trust her. With her acting style and her costume design, it made for a very interesting character that was actually pretty enjoyable to watch. To me, though, the show stealer was Song Kang-ho, who plays a prisoner that they break out, who actually installed the security systems on the train. And he was freaking amazing. He was really good in Parasite, but in Snowpiercer, he is a fucking badass. He commands every scene he's in with such subtlety. It was the quietest, strongest performance I have ever seen. And his character and his arc and his journey were just so wonderful to watch. I mean, he was just brilliant. He was by far my favorite part of the whole movie. That dude, though, I tell you what, he is slowly rising the ranks of becoming my favorite actor. Like, he's fucking awesome. One of the things I heard about this going in was that this was kind of reminiscent of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And this was kind of the spiritual successor to that. And I mean, I guess you can draw some parallels. There's some notes that Chris Evans finds that's kind of like the golden tickets, and every time they progress further into the train, one of their members dies. So yeah, you got people falling into chocolate rivers, but... And also at the end, Ed Harris offers Chris Evans' character the command of the train. He wants him to be the new leader, so... I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, there are some similarities, but I wouldn't necessarily call this a reimagining by any means. But Snowpiercer is an amazing adventure with tons of thrills, chaos, emotion, adventure that nearly every moviegoer will enjoy and remember. This is a movie that you do not forget. I'm going to give Snowpiercer 4 stars. You guys, thank you so much for watching. For more reviews, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. And as always, I will see you in the next episode.